Welcome to the Open Bedroom Podcast. I'm your host, Jennifer Kalo. Welcome to conversations about open relationships, online dating, conscious uncoupling, and creating the relationship that truly aligns for you. If you enjoy this podcast, I hope that you do a couple things for us. Would you subscribe? Would you write a review? Maybe share us with your friends. And if you extra like us, there's a link in the show notes here for my Patreon that does help pay for the creation of this podcast. And lastly, follow us on the Open Bedroom. We are on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. I hope you enjoy the show. Hey there, I love to tell you about my Patreon account. So as many of you know, as things become more and more censored, it's harder for content creators like us to stay live on these amazing platforms like TikTok and Instagram and YouTube. So what I've done is our spicier content now lives over on Patreon. We currently have some really fun episodes up, like how to give amazing blowjobs. I also just recorded and uploaded my night in a dungeon with a dominatrix. What can you expect? Weekly episodes and weekly content, some of it being sex ed, some of it being story and erotic telling, like I just did with my night in the dungeon, some of it being more podcasting where we have a guest on. So for an entry price right now of $5 per month, you can hop into my Patreon account and check it out. Check the show notes below for more information. Hope to see you there. Bye. Welcome back to the Open Bedroom Podcast. I am your host, Jennifer Kalo. And as promised, today is all about what is swinging? What is swinging? We're going to talk all about it. If you missed 2 weeks ago, the podcast was titled, What is Polyamory? Today is What is Swinging? And in another 2 weeks, I will talk to you about how to open your relationship in depth. I'm going to give you a little bit of an overview of that today, so that's going to be fun. So swingers are really people that are married or in longer term relationships that desire to have sex with other people's partners. That's what swinging is. So I guess maybe the terminology came from if you were going to like a swing dance, you know how you like take your partner round and round and then you like change partners and you're like, do, 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 do. Okay. So I'm imagining that maybe that's where the terminology of swinger came from, where you're taking your partner and you're swapping with another partner. And why, I'm looking at my notes just so if I look weird looking down, it's because I've got some pretty good notes about this, but why explore swinging? Well, when you start to explore your sexuality with your partner and you're sharing new experiences and you're having deep communication and scary things are coming up in your sexual life with your partner, you tend to communicate better and deeper. And so I feel like, and the people that are in open relationships feel like we can really deepen our emotional connection and even build more trust with our partners when we open up our relationship, whether that be swinging or polyamory or a hybrid of both of them. It can also provide an opportunity for couples to communicate more about their desires and boundaries, which can lead to stronger and more fulfilled relationships. It was cute as I was doing some research on what is swinging because I'm actually not a swinger. I'm a polyamorous person. Some of the things that came up was, is swinging adulterous? Is the Bible against swinging? And then it brought up a bunch of Bible verses that was like, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife. Swinging is definitely not in the Bible, y'all. So if you're listening to this and you're like a Baptist minister, swinging is probably not for you. Although I have dated someone that was in the church that was in an open relationship. So, you do you, boo, whatever you want to do. So, but if you haven't listened to the What is Polyamory podcast, I feel like I should probably stop for just a minute for those of you that haven't, so I can talk to you about the differences of being poly and being a swinger. Swinging is very non-committal. It's very much about the body and sharing the body and it's about sex, right? So swinging is not about forming relationships and bonds with other people. It's about sharing an experience where you and your partner want to share with another partner and everybody kind of plays together. Now, there are some different things that we can talk about in terms of different dynamics inside of swinging. So I'll go into that in a minute. Polyamory is the opposite. So Scott and I are polyamorous. We are about having deep, committed relationships with our partners, sometimes even in closed triads, because him and I date women, but you can also be polyamorous and date couples. You can date singles, you can date whatever you want. Polyamory is more about love and connection. So you have these two different spectrums where you have love and connection and trust and sharing your life. And then swinging is very much like in and out, kind of like the dance. You're like, hello, here I am. Goodbye. There, I'm like just left. I'm not interested in forming bonds with you if I am a swinger. Okay, now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's talk about different kinds of swinging. So you're going to have a specific arrangement inside of your what kind of open am I dynamic. So I like to always tell my clients when they first come to me and they say, I want to open up my relationship. I'm like, fantastic. What kind of open do you want to be? And that's where you say, I want to be a swinger. I want to be poly. I want to be a hybrid of the two. I want to just occasionally see people. That might be more of like a common relationship. So first you decide what kind of open you are, and then you decide your dynamic. So we have decided in this conversation today, we want to be a swinger. So now what kind of swinger do we want to be? Now, I'll go through each one of these. I've also made a free downloadable of different types of swinging so you can take this conversation to your partner and share it with them and then start to discuss what kind of dynamic do we want to have together. The first one, which I think is pretty much the most common that you'll find, is a full swap. So let's pretend that Scott and I are swingers and we are swinging with another couple. We would fully swap with each other. So I would be with the husband and he would be with the wife. Or if we were bisexual, he would be with the husband and I would be with the wife or whatever, right? Like we're fully swapping. There's of course also play in that dynamic where, you know, you can play with your primary partner and with the other people as well. And imagine like forming a nice train or just all playing together in a big pile. There is also a second dynamic called a soft swap. Now, this one, there's no actual penetration, but it could be, you know, going down on somebody. It could be making out with someone. It could be touching someone using your fingers, but there's no actual penetration. That's called a soft swap. Then you decide, do we want to be same room or separate room? So let's take each one of these and we'll kind of apply that scenario. So full swap, same room would mean that you and your partner and another couple fully swap, but in the same room. So imagine you're in a hotel room and there's two queen beds. You and the other person's partner are on one bed and your partner and the other person's partner on the other bed. Same room, full swap. Now we'll do full swap, separate rooms. So back to our hotel analogy, me and your partner stay in one room and my partner and your partner go to a different room. Maybe they're adjoining, maybe they're totally separate, maybe they're next to each other, maybe they're on a totally different floor. But you feel the comfort that your partner is still in the same building. You're just in a different room. Okay, so let's do soft swap. So soft swap, same room is the same scenario with the two queen beds where you're playing with each other. There's no penetration, same room. Soft swap, separate room, same instances before. So me and your partner in one room and you and my partner are in a different room and you're just not having penetrative sex, but you're doing everything else. Okay. All right. So let's talk about like blocking and tackling of how to swing. So you've decided that you want to be a swinger and you think that sounds interesting, or you and your partner have already started talking about it. The very first thing that you want to do is get alignment with your partner. Now, I have a free opening up guide. It applies to swinging as well as polyamory that I'm going to put in the notes below. Please read over this guide before you go to your partner. If you've already gone to your partner, it's okay, share the guide with them. But I really believe in being fully empowered, especially in your conversation before you go to your partner. So you can say, hey, I've been doing some research. I read this book. I've been listening to these podcasts, and I'm really curious. Here's some things I've learned. Let me get you this information too. Would you take a few minutes, days, months, digest this information, and then let's talk about it and see if this is for us? It's important that you don't just walk up to your partner who's completely unaware of your desires and say, hey, I want to start having sex with other people. Can you imagine what that would do to your partner to be blindsided in that way? So, number one, talk with your partner and get alignment. Even before that, go start to get educated. My guide has podcasts and books and things for you to go review first, and then you'll feel empowered to go to your partner. So, number two is do your research, read books, watch podcasts, also go through my free guide, which I've already mentioned. Number three, decide what your dynamic will be. So you've decided I'm going to be polyamorous or I'm going to be a swinger. Then what kind of poly or what kind of swinger do I want to be? If what I've described today doesn't feel like what you want, but you want an open relationship, go back to what is polyamory. And I'll also link that in the show notes below so that you can, have an educated conversation or an educated decision on both kinds of open. Number four is decide how you'll meet new couples. This is the fun part. So you've gotten alignment from your partner, you've done research, you've decided what kind of dynamic you're going to have. Then you can start figuring out, how am I going to meet new people? One idea is online dating sites. I love Field. I love Bumble. If you're going to be swinging, Tinder even works for you. I wouldn't recommend that necessarily for poly people, but for swinging, that works. You can also do online groups. So on Facebook, there are tons of groups about open relationships or E&M groups, ethical non-monogamy. You'll also see the word pineapple a lot, or lifestyle groups. Find some groups in your area or surrounding areas that you can start to get involved in. So the third one I would have is in-person events. There are so many in-person events, and I live in Arkansas. So imagine what's available for you in your town where you can get to know people. And some are super casual, where they call them vanilla events. So it might be going to a bar and there's other people there that are not in the lifestyle, and you just talk and get to know people. There's others that can be a house party, or a gangbang party. So you just kind of pick what you're ready for. And then the fifth thing I have here is to start swinging, you just start making connections. So if you're in the apps, you're right swiping, you're getting in people's DMs, you're having conversations, you're inviting them to meet up with you. If they're in online groups, each day of the week, usually these groups will have a theme. So it might be like Meet Me Monday and Hump Day is Booty Day on Wednesday. And so start to participate, show up. If you're interested in someone, you can respectfully ask in a post, hey, may I DM you? And then try that way. And then for the in-person events, as you're making connections, a lot of times these events will have a private Facebook group or a private Discord channel where you can start to see who's going to be there first and start to scope out, hey, who are we interested in? And as you're interested, you can drop into their DMs and say, hey, we're going to go to the same party as you. We're so excited to meet up with you. Hey, do you guys want to grab drinks before? Do you want to grab dinner before? How do you feel about us, coming and saying hi to you at the event? Okay. All right. The last resource that I have for swinging is my good friend, Joe Levitt, is the confident swinger on all social platforms, all podcast channels. She's also theconfidentswinger.com. And Joe is amazing when it comes to anything swinger conversation. She also has online groups and coaching that you can be a part of. She's a confidence coach. And so she can help you get ready to have conversations with people about swinging. She can help you if you're feeling, jealousy or insecurity about it, or you have questions around like, how do I navigate this with my partner? For anything swinging, I always say, go to Jo. She's amazing. I am the polyamory to her swinger. So if you have polyamory questions, please come to me. And swinging questions, please go to her. I will drop her link in the show notes. Okay, guys, I hope this was really helpful in terms of what is swinging and how do I start and what do I do. And in 2 weeks, I'll be dropping an episode about how to open your relationship. It will be, again, a little bit more 30,000 foot view where I'm talking about how do I create a dating profile? How do I find someone to date? How am I a good person to actually have a date with? How can I be someone that within the community, people recommend people to come date me? Because it is a thing. All right. Talk to you then. Bye.